Hello? You guys,
Hello.
Anna, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Ralph.
Great.
Testing.
Hey, Allison.
Hi, Ralph. How are you?
Good.
Hi, Don.
Hi, hey Allison, you hear
I'm
me
Matt.
okay? You hear me, Allison?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
Well, we got fooled by the snow, huh? No snow at all.
I
it's
know.
gonna be rain next.
Yeah.
We're trying to be overly cautious, but the same thing happened on Monday. We had an evening meeting, and that was not good. So.
Hey, everybody.
Hi, Chris.
Hello,
Hey, Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Hello, everybody.
hello, how are you?
Hi, Kurt.
Hey, Kurt.
Hey there.
Good. I'm glad my audio is working.
Working good.
That's because I'm at a distance.
All right. So just so everybody knows, I know you had to click OK when you were entering, but we are recording on Zoom, so we could post the video later, and we are live streaming to YouTube. So just be aware of that. I have 7 o'clock on my end. Matt, I can.
Yeah, so it is 7 p.m. So we'll call to order the January 25th, 2023 Planning Board meeting. I'm just going to start by reading the public notice since we're doing this virtually. Subsequent to the snow emergency declared by the Town's Commissioner of Public Works, effective 12 p.m. on Wednesday, January 25th through 12 p.m. Thursday, January 26th, and pursuant to Section 103-A3 of the New York Public Officers Law, the Planning Board determines that the circumstances necessitating the emergency declaration would affect or impair the ability of the planning board to hold an in-person meeting. As such, the planning board will be holding its January 25th, 2023 meeting through the video conference platform Zoom. The meeting will also be available via live stream on the town's YouTube channel. To view the live stream, go to the town's YouTube link available on the town website. The Zoom meeting website or link is also available on the town's website. We are a 7-member board. So we've established a quorum. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got everyone. We got all 7. Bear with me. I'm trying to look at the agenda online.
Happy to
We
pull it
have-
up if you like. Sure.
I got it. So we have no public hearings. We can jump into old business. 2011 Carver Court, Upper Mannix Road, major 110 lot cluster subdivision. We've seen this many times, obviously, and what the applicant's looking to do is get another 90-day extension. For their, which approval are we extending here potentially? Preliminary plat?
Preliminary plat.
So the applicant was last in December. We provided a 90-day extension. I believe they're still just waiting on the Army Corps of Engineers to give final sign off. Is that correct, Anna?
Army Corps of Engineers, they have received communication, but not a formal written letter. And then as well, the finalizing the development agreement is not necessarily preventing construction, but it is part of that final kind of push is the offsite infrastructure improvements that we've been discussing and would be finalized in the development agreement, which the planning board would review for recommendation to the town board.
Okay. I do see we have Don Z on. Don, do you have anything to add?
This meeting is being recorded.
Don, you're on mute. I don't know if you have anything to add there. Does anyone from the board have any concern with providing an extension to this? I'll go around, I guess. Start with Ralph.
Nope, no concern.
Don.
Okay. You hear me?
Chris? Yep. Chris? You're on mute. I don't know if you're. There you go.
Thanks. Sorry about that. I'm good.
Okay. Kurt?
No, I don't object.
All right. John Conway?
My only question might be how long we expect to be doing this. I have no problem with the current extension, but.
Yeah. Don, do you have any anticipation of when they're going to have this signed off?
I'm trying.
There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, sorry. Well, we've had our paperwork down to the Army Corps since May of 2022. In August, Brad Sherwood had agreed that we complied with everything, and he submitted the permit to New York City for signature. He has been contacting New York City repeatedly at our request. They have sat on it. And the last time we had an actual communication with Brad Sherwood from the Army Corps was on January 3rd, when we had contacted him. He then said for Nick Laraway to contact him, which he did. And he said, the permit's ready to be signed. And if you need confirmation, we would speak to whomever. We forwarded a memo to Anna with regard to that. And Anna had said this is something we should bring up at this meeting, that we have everything okay by Brad Sherwood, but I know a lot of people in New York City are having problems in New York City right now. So that's really the sole issue that we see. As to the development agreement, following our last appearance, Anna has set up a meeting with several people, including Supervisor Dan Fialco, the new TDE for the project. And as Anna had indicated, we came to an agreement with regard to the off-site sanitary sewer improvements that we have to install. We agreed on which sections of pipe off Temple Lane. The town had then requested that for the purpose of benefiting the town, that we beyond the capacity for our development and the existing flows, that we oversize the pipes. And so the town had requested us to get the pricing for the oversizing of the pipes. We were waiting for that. And as soon as I get that information, then I can complete the developer's agreement. So, because I wanted to insert obviously the section of the pipe and have the information with regard to the extra costs that the town had requested us to obtain. I think it went from like an 18-inch pipe to like a 24-inch pipe. I'm not an engineer, but Anna was in that meeting, as was I think it was Aaron Moore from Tig Bond, who in fact had done the initial sanitary sewer report for the town, and they have now been brought back into the picture on this project. So as to the question, we're waiting on the plan on the Army Corps, but at the same time, what I wanted to bring up is when we submitted our documentation and application to the Corps, under the Corps' regulations, if they don't respond within a 60-day period, then it's deemed approved. Anna was obviously, we pointed that out. It's been down there for, as I said, since May and June of this past year. We got to sign off in August. Arguably, we could go forward. We're not pushing it right now because obviously we still have the developers agreement just to finalize with regard to the sizing of the pipe. We're hoping that within the next 45 days or so, we can get that resolved. I do want to point out, I talked to Nick Laraway. He's up in Quebec right now on business, but he had, after the communications we had on January 3rd and after Anna's email, Brad Sherwood has been on vacation for an extended period of time. We've been trying to get in touch with him, and we have been unable to get something just so that Anna would be on a phone call with him and our team. So hopefully that answers your question as to where we are right now, but we're pretty comfortable in saying that, we're going to get the permit in the very near future.
Okay.
If that's required by this board, because, we'll provide the regulations which have indicated that with our submittal being complete, them not actually signing it should not preclude us from being deemed to have that permission. One of the things we had submitted to them as part of our package was the proposed deed restriction, which is a standard deed restriction. They wanted to see the map where the wetland impacts were, and they had signed off because we had submitted that back in May, and they took their normal 90 days to review it.
Okay. John, does that answer your question? John, you're on mute. I'm not sure if you're talking.
Sorry, I'm good with that. Thank you.
Yeah, certainly. As far as moving forward, we can discuss that in 90 days if that's something we want to proceed, if we're still in the situation, but hopefully we're not. Bob, you have?
No, fine.
Okay. With that, I will, this is where it gets interesting. I'll make a motion that the Eastern Planning Board grant a 90-day extension for the Mannix Road, Carver Court, 110 lot cluster subdivision. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Pan.
Roll call as follows. Chairman Maston? Is that yes?
Yeah, sorry.
Mr. Viola?
Yes.
Mr. Bergman? Ms. Horn?
Yes.
Mr. Panton?
Yes.
Mr. Conway?
Yes,
Mr. Yuha?
Yes.
Motion carried by a 7-0 vote.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Yep, thank you. Next, move on to 2301 Luigi Companies, Gilligan Road, major site plan for apartment. This is for a presentation. Do we have the applicant on?
Yes, I'm right here. Hello, everyone. How are you tonight? My name is Chuck Bafundi. I'm head of real estate development here at Luigi Companies, and I wanted to present our project. Is it okay if I share screen on this?
Yeah, I think so, right, Anna?
Just made you co-host, Chuck. So you should be able to share.
Everybody see
we-
that?
We can see, yes.
Okay. So the project that we're proposing here today in front of the planning board is located off of Gilligan Road and Columbia Turnpike. From Google Earth, the location right here is to the right of Hannaford, in between Hannaford and Gilligan Road. Here's the land that's proposed to be developed. Here's our presentation from our first PRT meeting and gives you an idea of the visualizations of the development. Development overview. So located in East Greenbush, we're proposing a luxury and resort style community. It will offer upscale amenities, including a pool, clubhouse, activity areas, fitness rooms, commercial space, and more. It will display an eye-catching building design that will showcase East Greenbush and all it has to offer. The apartments proposed are truly a feature for modern luxuries. We have smart home technology proposed, high-end video intercoms, security features. We do heated sidewalks at all our properties within our portfolio and Energy Star mechanicals and appliances. It's designed to foster a fun, relaxed environment, a walkable community for the residents and those that are in the surrounding area to the property, to stay connected to the local services and convenience in the East Greenbush area. So a little bit about Luigi Companies. We're a 4-division umbrella. Peter, back in the 90s, had bought Peter Luigi and Brothers from his mother after his father had passed away. We're located here in the Capital District. Our new headquarters is at Waterville, and all 4 of our divisions are housed under that new office here in Waterville at our industrial complex. So one of the names that probably stands out more than others is Peter Luigi and Brothers Contracting. They're the first company that Peter had started. They're the green trucks that you see probably out a lot on the road. They do about $50 million a year in public works, from school projects, highway projects, local aid, federal aid, a lot of utility work, and paving and milling operations. We have Luigi Property Management Group, which is our in-house property management division that maintains all our properties. We have Luigi Construction Services. It's our turnkey white glove commercial building division that ultimately does a lot of our fit ups and building construction projects, and also construction manages with partners like BBL Construction Services. We have Upstate Concrete, our union concrete division. They pull out of the laborers, operators, and masons unions locally, and are a full service concrete flatwork company doing things like building pads, granite curb installation, slip form, sidewalks. So our apartment portfolio that matches most closely to the proposal today is communities like Starbuck Island and Green Island. It's a resort style community that's on the Hudson River, showcases the natural beauty of Green Island. It was a large brownfield reclamation project. It was the old King's Fuel. We had cleaned it up and established what I think is one of the postmark projects and communities in the Capital District. Has riverside restaurants, outdoor resort style pool area, amphitheaters, retail shops, boat slips, heated sidewalks. Best in luxury waterfront living, I believe, in the Capital District, only comparable to things like Mohawk Harbor. We have Stone Ledge Terrace in Troy, another one of Peter's older communities, about 50 acres. It's in the city of Troy, provides residents kind of a quiet, private, wooded area, scenic views of the Hudson River Valley, and another one of the Capital District's most luxury rental apartment communities in the area. And then there's Rivers Ledge, which we just finished up construction through the pandemic. It's 160 units down off Rexford Bridge corridor. It was the old Williams Auto junkyard, and it was very well received by the town of Niskayuna and Metroplex. It's another project that I think really sets a bar for the Capital District. We had private entrances, garages, stainless steel appliances, high-end finishes inside the units, And again, very high concentration of amenities that and connectivity to the walking and bike paths that has proven to be a great necessity for some of the area in Niskayuna and Schenectady. We're about 75% leased right now and have a great track record so far with our residents, as you can see by the reviews. So ultimately, Luigi Companies is committed to developing properties with every detail in mind. These luxury resort style communities can be differentiated by many things, including but not limited to our great property management team, a luxury community, which ultimately sets the bar for a lot of the demographics that are coming into the Capital District. And that is, harbored by a plethora of amenities. The amenities in our development, I believe, are second to none. Do things like golf simulators, community clubhouses, putting greens, basketball courts, tennis courts, golf, tanning booths, fire pits. It bolsters a community feel for our residents and makes it feel like home. So this is our concept plan to the property, sketch plan. So we're proposing 205 units. We have 334 parking stalls, centralized clubhouse, pool area, and a connectivity of walking paths throughout the complex that we'll kind of get into the greater connectivity later, but it provides great walkability for our residents and also showcases some of the features that are on site now to provide more of a park-like setting. The park-like setting you can kind of see here. We take very, very high praise in our landscaping at our properties. Our ownership, Peter Luisi, is very, very, he enjoys the landscape. He invests a large amount of money in it. So you would see things on this property with irrigation, sod, park-like settings with gardens and outlooks at the water features. We're proposing a con-span bridge here to kind of bridge one of the water features to create some outlook areas and essentially provide some park and community spaces for our residents and abroad. Surrounding apartment communities. So when we did a pretty comprehensive look at East Greenbush, when we went in for the PRT and made this initial proposal. So when we look at market rate, which is, marginally priced apartments, we look at Mill Creek, Horizon Ridge, Greenbush Station, and we even looked into Rensselaer as well. And then we looked at senior age restricted, and we believe true luxury communities like the one that we're proposing here, there's a void in the town of East Greenbush, especially with growing businesses like Regeneron and Plug Power that are moving into the area. And a place like this that makes people feel at home and living in a resort style setting is what I will show you we believe we can tie into a demographic that is really looking to live in East Greenbush, and there's a void there for them for housing. So the demand for luxury and resort style apartment communities is becoming increasingly high. Demographics of people, especially millennials, have transitioned to living in communities such as proposed in the East Greenbush development that's in front of you today. It is a stepping stone before settling down in their new careers with families, and is also common for empty nesters who have sold their homes and are ready to make the switch to an apartment that offers a state-of-the-art amenities, great community, and a property that is upkept to the highest standards. So some of these desires from these two demographics of people are the want and need to downsize, live maintenance-free, sign short-term commitments, and the opportunity to save money, increase safety, luxury resort-style amenities, and the opportunity to live in close-knit communities and the gift of time. And what we're trying to touch on here is a lot of these two demographics, millennials first, Gen X, whatever people call them nowadays, they're moving into this area. They're starting careers and they don't want the long-term commitment of a house. So they're looking at living in communities like this that provide a community-like setting, great walkability. They're in great corridors like Columbia Turnpike, close to their workplaces, but give them a stepping stone before you know, they really set hold in their careers and maybe look at purchasing a house. And then on the flip side of that is empty nesters who ultimately want that gift of time. They want the maintenance-free living experience where they don't have to worry about maintaining their house, their lawns, et cetera. And those are the folks that are looking to move into these apartment communities and maybe have some time to travel and spend more time, you know, experiencing retirement now that their kids have went off to college and they have a larger empty house. So communities such as Starbuck Island, Stone Ledge, and Rivers Ledge are examples of this. Demographics of people that are attached to the lifestyle of living. And, you know, these up and coming demographics are moving to East Greenbush and coincide with the growth of companies like Regeneron, Plug Power, Amazon. There's large amounts of university staff and staff for hospitals as well. So this kind of goes through what a lot of you folks are already aware of in the growth in your community with Regeneron, 5-minute commute, Plug Power, 20-minute commute. This goes into like the per capita incomes. So as you can see, a lot of these businesses right now, and this is pulled off census data and other information available on online. You know, per capita incomes in Rensselaer and Albany County are, you know, just below 40,000. But if you see these businesses in different sectors that are ultimately paying people almost, you know, 2 or 3 times those values, those are the people that ultimately want that luxury living experience with an apartment complex like we're providing. And it speaks true to the rental rates that we're seeing right now at Starbuck, Rivers Ledge, and Stone Ledge, where we have upwards of a 35-person waiting list, and we've been fully occupied since construction. This goes through some more visuals for faculty staff at some of the colleges. And then we come into the project itself, kind of a deep dive into some of the components here. So this development is planned to have 2 spaces dedicated to commercial use, which is part of the B1 district. They will average about 2,000 square feet each. The 2 commercial components will be used to supplement the resort style living folks are looking for and provide businesses to the community. It will also support the plethora of amenities that are already being provided within the rent structure. So, you know, when we had looked at this property and done our due diligence, the zoning code is obviously the B1. Promotes redevelopment with high density mixed use structures, which helps define a coherent village-like atmosphere, providing local goods and services and linkage nearby residential neighborhoods with pedestrian friendly environment. And, you know, when we took a look at East Greenbush's comprehensive plan and we went through the design of this, you know, although we're short on the commercial component, which we'll go into over here, we believe that we're serving a greater purpose with some linkage and connectivity to some of the local community. Retail and commercial right now is a really it's a rough business right now to build new construction. There's a lot of vacancy as it sits right now in those 2 avenues of real estate. So what we believe here is we could create a development that continues to make Columbia Turnpike and the existing businesses are there or the vacancies are there thrive, right? Then planning, everybody always wants to replicate the Broadway of Saratoga where commercial and retail and restaurants are thriving and there's great walkability. But in order to do that, you need that dense population base to walk those paths, walk those streets, the sidewalks, and create commerce in those businesses. And, you know, with this project and accompanied projects nearby, like the town center PDD, we believe that, you know, it could give that bolstering momentum to Columbia Turnpike and serve those businesses that are already there, right? So going through the area bulk schedule, you know, we're proposing the property itself is 497,000 square feet, just around 11 acres. You we meet the minimum side and rear yard setbacks. We have under our building, we have a maximum building square footage, building coverage of 11%. Our density right now is over what is in the B1 district. It's 18 units an acre, but you will see some of the, that's driven by some of the community benefits that we're proposing here that I think will serve the community in a good way with some linkage. And we are under the maximum building height. So compromised on the project is 2 80-unit buildings, 1 45-unit building. We have 105 one-bedroom apartments, 100 two-bedroom apartments, which we believe is a unit mix that will be appropriate for the area. We have the parking spaces as required in the zoning code. We are proposing a 2,000 square foot restaurant and a 2,000 square foot retail or commercial space. And as you can see here with the parking space breakdown, we're meeting that parking space breakdown as per code. This CBRE survey kind of goes into the commercial vacancy rate that I was explaining. Older zoning code does not consider the need for less commercial space, but the need for development of housing component due to the current housing crisis. Capital Region has more commercial space than what is desired. And what we believe is the proposal that we have here will help support that commercial space that is existing, right? Or drive in more businesses into the vacancies that are there. This goes into some of those vacancy rates by area. And again, just a conclusion here, concluding the commercial slides. Luigi Companies does not believe the piece of property provides a survivable commercial function in this zoning district. This is partly due to the lack of road frontage on Columbia Turnpike and to provide ease of access and branding for businesses to produce commerce. In replacement for that required 30% commercial component. Luigi Companies is proposing to provide an advanced network of community linkage. These shared use connections will provide the linkage that is explained in the Gilligan Road Complete Streets enhancement, and is going to give the opportunity for the surrounding commercial businesses to thrive and expand within the Columbia Turnpike corridor. So here's the community linkage that's being proposed. We're talking about building a shared use path in coordination with comments from the planning board and the departments in East Greenbush, as proposed in the Gilligan Road Complete Streets proposal with the CDTC, and we're looking at connecting the neighborhoods down here and the softball fields down through to the Gilligan Road intersection where Hannaford is now and would be the new entrance to our development. It would connect to Columbia Turnpike. We'd have walkability throughout our complex and a future connection for the town center PDD. The Gilligan Road's Complete Streets Enhancement project was broken up into different phases, as you can see here. This proposed development would be knocking off Phase B, which is the install of turn-in Ave crossings, Phase C, which is the turn-in Ave to the Columbia Turnpike, and the connection to the PDD, which is the town center PDD and throughout our property. I think the most important thing to point out here is, Phase F would always have been driven by some type of development as it is private property. So, I believe we're providing a very great community benefit to the Columbia Turnpike and the greater area with some linkage here. It'll provide connectivity for some of the existing businesses and some great walkability as we see on a lot of our other complexes. One of the greatest thing that our residents loved at Rivers Ledge is the connection to the Mohawk Hudson Bike Trail and the Aqueduct Park. And it's an amenity that's not always able to be given to our tenants at our properties. And at this specific piece of property, it's something that East Greenbush already kind of had in the works, and we were just jumping on trying to make it happen here. So here's some different details that was within that feasibility study of what that path would look like. Some crossing details. We built a lot of these crossings, flashing beacon, advanced warning pedestrian crossings within our public works projects. This one here actually is at the, that was in the feasibility studies right outside the entrance to our Rivers Ledge complex. Here's some more visualizations of the property that kind of shows some of those park-like settings and the walkability that we're proposing, and shows some virtual reality type outlook of how residents could enjoy that. This would be our clubhouse. You can see some of our basketball courts, pool areas. And throughout, you know, the estimated cost, right? So phase B and C of the Gilligan Road side path, inclusive of the details, so the design details. So we're proposing a 10-foot wide shared use path, flashing beacon, sidewalk crossing improvements for the community, design and survey development and permitting in coordination with the town. We can aid in utility coordination with National Grid. We'll plan on doing some plantings down the shared use path that the town of East Greenbush thinks that's to be appropriate. And what we estimate that cost to be is about $1.2 million. All private infrastructure is proposed within the development. Water, sewer, you know, I don't know, the trash pickup we're proposing is also to be private, and you know, that would be providing a zero cost investment from the town and its taxpayers long term. Job creation to this, you know, we're looking at hiring 5 property management positions if the project goes through, about plus or minus 10 retail positions, and about 6 to 7 outsourced specialty maintenance contractors or local businesses to help us maintain the property up to the standard that we do. And I believe it would bring about 150 temporary construction jobs throughout construction as well. And here's some references. I know Anna, if you folks haven't had the pleasure of receiving this, Anna has it. I could also surface it out again, but you know, I'll turn it over for any questions. I have Adam Frasino here as well with McFarland Johnson, who's our lead from the civil engineering aspect of the project. Adam, do you have anything else to add in before I turn it over to the planning board?
No, I think Chuck covered it pretty well. Any technical questions I'm happy to answer, given, you know, we're at conceptual stage here. So we've gone through some due diligence and some initial designs, but we've got some work ahead of us, obviously, since we're just in concept. So
Just a quick note, I did mute almost everybody. So if you have a question, check your microphone, because there was some feedback before. So just take a look at that.
Yeah, so I guess I'll start and then I'll go through the board members and get their comments. So I did know that, you know, you mentioned some of your projects have been favorable with other municipalities. One of them looked to be 2 stories in height, another one maybe 3 stories. I think you're proposing 4 stories, so maybe significantly taller. Also, do you think you can fit 4 stories within 50 feet, including the parapet wall at the roof?
Yeah, so we've already reviewed this with our architecture team and BBL. We'll be able to maintain that with MEP designs, proper ceiling heights and parapet. We're proposing flat roof. Some of our, like another project where we've went 4 stories in one of these urbanization style town center developments with Starbucks. Starbucks was a 4-story development, very similar to this one.
What about mechanical systems on the roof? Would you have air handlers or anything on the roof?
Yes, those would be contained within the flat roof and concealed behind parapet. From a perspective of visuals, right? Those would be set back centered on the building. So although they may be slightly taller than the parapet, they would be blocked visually. So,
but they'll fall within the 50 feet.
I'd have to check that, but I believe so. They should fall within the 50 feet.
I'm drawing a blank on another question. So the sidewalk is about 0.3 or 0.4 miles, I think. That's $1 million or $1.2 million for that length of sidewalk.
Yeah, well, it'd be more than sidewalk. 10-foot shared use would be blacktop, and I'm just basing this off of, following federal highway standards like we do on some of our highway projects. Flashing beacons, plantings, national grid coordination. Yes, per linear foot, it would be about $1.3 million.
Okay. Certainly traffic is a concern. Gilligan Road is a town-owned road, but it is the most traveled town-owned road that we have in East Greenbush. So do you have any idea what the peak PM trips would be there?
I'll turn that over to Adam.
The PM peak would be roughly, for residential, ballpark speaking, it's about a half a trip per unit during the peak hours. So, we'd be adding about 100 trips, just to use really round numbers. We haven't done a traffic impact study yet. It's, in our scope of work going on to the next phase here, but.
So that's 100 trips over what, a 2-hour period?
Over a 1 hour period. That's the peak hours. That would be, and it's, again, I'm really generalizing, but, roughly 100 trips with majority of them exiting in the AM and 100 trips with majority of them entering in the PM, given that this is, primarily residential, with just a very small retail component or commercial component.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's an extremely busy road. Sorry, who was that?
No, just to clarify, did you say the entrance and exit would be where the back entrance to Hannaford is today? That would tie into that somehow?
I can show you that here.
I was going to say, Chuck, do you want to share your screen, or I could share mine, either way?
Yeah, share mine.
Okay. The main entrance would be on Gilligan Road. A secondary entrance would just be a connection to the existing driveway to Hannaford.
That existing driveway to Hannaford, it's a one-way. I don't know if you looked at it. That section there where where your pointer is. Nope, right there. It's a one-way.
Yes.
It's around.
Yep, it's one way in one direction, one way in the other, correct?
No, one way, that's it. Going out.
Yeah, and this is the main entrance to the property right here. So this would be the main entrance and exit, and we have this connection right here for overflow if needed. There was talks in the PRT meeting regarding maybe reconfiguring this, and that is something that we're open to if the planning board has concerns there. I know this, I believe, came from, who was it, Anna? Was that the zoning board chairman? But it's something that we would look at, because I know it was in the feasibility study for the Gilligan Road improvements, to look at that with old out-of-date guide rail specs and some of the site distance as well.
Yeah, I think when I leave Hannaford, I would like to take a right turn onto Gilligan Road, which now I'm not sure if it's legal, but it's very awkward. And I think the danger, if that's not fixed, is that you're going to have a cut through to your residential property where people like me may be tempted to drive right through there in order to get to the right turn driveway. So,
absolutely. Yeah, and we'd be more than open to kind of reconfiguring that. I think it would serve the development and maybe the exit there more appropriately when we dive into the traffic study, especially with looking at adding traffic to that road. It may digest things more properly.
So just for the board's knowledge, right? So this would require 2 variances. One for density, I think it's a 30% increase in the allowed density, something like that. And the other is for the commercial square footage. So that would obviously be handled by the ZBA. We'll go through the board members for some more comments. Ralph, you got anything? And could board members just mute if you're not talking? We're getting some feedback.
Yeah, I just have one question in regards to the wetlands that are on the property now. Is that where the existing pond is, or is it a designated wetland that doesn't have water in it currently?
So right now, that's where it's one of the areas that we'd be looking at. We've worked with Army Corps and DEC before with wetland areas and making them more of a water feature. It's like aeration of fountains and stuff like that. We did that up at Stone Ledge. We've done it at actually our industrial park. So we would work with them on creating more of a beautified outlook on the existing area that's there, which I believe is ultimately like a stormwater management area that was created years ago and then has kind of gotten overgrown. So we look at working through the process with them and communication with them. If there's some maintenance to be done, and then beautification of it.
So the wetlands, would that be owned by the developer?
Yes, it would.
Okay, so it would be your responsibility to keep it clean and cut and maintained.
Yes. Everything on this development right now, we're proposing to be private. Water infrastructure, we propose to be private, sewer infrastructure, stormwater, et cetera. We've been doing that in our latest proposals and on a lot of our properties. It provides a better, and there's no investment from the community, right? Taxpayers aren't paying for something long-term because we decide to develop a piece of property. And we've seen it go over much smoother with the communities. So we've proposed that here as well.
One other question I have is on the, I'm going to call it the top end of your concept plan. There is currently a dirt road that runs on the back of your parcel there. Yep. Is that included in your property?
It is part of the property. Yep.
The only reason why I bring that up is I only see one entrance and exit to this proposed development, and possibly we could have an emergency exit out the rear if in fact that a one and only entrance did get blocked. I don't know if you plan on keeping that dirt road kind of runs up and is adjacent to or across the street from the town garage. Are you familiar with where that exits?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, yes, I am. And Adam, what do you have something to add to that? I mean, check if you're on mute, Adam.
Yep, sorry about that. We would potentially look into that as a secondary entrance for emergency access. Obviously, we're not planning to have that be any sort of, resident access, but that is something that can be considered. Just to go back on the existing Hannaford driveway that comes through there, part of that reconfiguration could also potentially allow for a secondary entrance. We're not showing it that way on this current concept plan, but that could be discussed with the town going forward.
I'm just thinking with that many apartment dwellings that a secondary emergency entrance exit would benefit the project.
Yep, okay. I would agree with that. Yep.
I think it's a great start. I like the idea of the walkability and the bike path down Gilligan Road. I think it's got some potential.
Thank you.
Don, do you have any comments or questions? Don, you're on mute.
Hear me?
There you go.
I'm okay. I'm concerned with the total traffic. I mean, they can't possibly have a egress onto 9 and 20. Because I know the territory. There's no way they can get it out there. It's going to be an awful lot of traffic coming out. I'm just concerned about it. Ingress and egress. It's just too bad it couldn't go on the 9 and 20, but they won't be able to.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to get an accurate traffic count studying at this time of year. I think when you would get it would be when Little League and softball is in and school are all in session. So that would be April until June. there's a lot of traffic in the
I'm
peak
thinking when
hours.
the junior high down there, oh my God, the middle school, I should say the middle school, the traffic that comes out with the parents bringing their kids to school, it's horrendous. I see it all the time. So at golf, I should say, coming out of golf.
Yep.
So,
Do you
That's
think
what I'm
there'd be
concerned.
would there be a benefit to having a signalized intersection in your folks' opinion there? Especially with the school there for a slowdown of traffic a little bit?
yeah, it's horrendous. You get a lot of traffic with the parents bringing those kids out. Really a lot.
It could be a benefit, but it could be a hindrance too, because you might get traffic backing up to 9 and 20 at that point.
Yeah, and that's
There's a-
something, I know that's something that would be in the preview of McFarland Johnson. You know, when we move into the point of looking at the traffic volumes, Adam, coordinated signal design or whatever type of mitigation may be needed, we could look at different options with the board, right?
Absolutely, and we intentionally lined up the driveway with the adjacent residential complex multifamily, so that it could be used, that signal could a potential signal going in there could allow them better access onto Gilligan Road as well.
Just a note, currently at 2:00 in the afternoon, the town of East Greenbush police have to go and actually regulate and stop the traffic signal on 9 and 20 for the buses to exit back onto 9 and 20. So there are some times during the day that it does get a little congested there.
Okay.
Yeah, I know they've had to do significant modifications to the drop off and pick up too, because so many people nowadays drop their kids off, pick them up, plus they must have, 40 buses there dropping kids off.
And maybe that's something, Adam, too, when we dig into the traffic is, I'm guessing that intersection is owned by a DOT.
Yes.
Maybe we can look at the timings to see if just maybe the controller cabinet and update timings just need updating. Maybe it's been abandoned and I don't mean abandoned, but it hasn't been updated throughout the years to be more appropriate to what the school provided.
Yeah, I was going to say a lot of times some cookie cutter timings often can get put in those signals and they don't account for the school district release at, not a common peak hour in the DOT's mindset, not a common peak hour. So when we do our traffic analysis, we will definitely be counting during school times, entering and exiting, the dismissal and arrival. So all good points.
And there's also two businesses at the intersection of Gilligan 9 and 20 that I think DOT eliminated their 2 points of ingress to 9 and 20 when they were doing a sidewalk project. So now it's the eye doctor and then there's the pizza place and I forgot, CPA maybe. So they only enter right at that intersection, which is not great.
Okay.
One more
Yeah,
point
so-
on the signals. I'd recommend researching synchronizing the Gilligan intersection with the Elliott Road signalized intersection.
Yeah. Yeah, they're very close. Donnie, you good?
I'm good.
Chris?
Yeah,
Oh, you're on mute again. There you go.
I was going to make the same point that someone already made in terms of being sure that the traffic study includes like May, June timeframe when Little League is in full swing, that really adds an important component to take a look at. Beyond that, I think this is a great start. Also, I'm curious what you consider, luxury apartment living, what the pricing would be if that's been established yet. And do you have any prospects in mind for retail or restaurant? At this point?
So I would have not kind of dove into end user tenants for the commercial. We'd be open to, a lot of the time we kind of take feedback from the community as we're going through approvals and stuff too on restaurants that may be looking to move into the area, or sometimes there's restaurants that are growing out of their existing space and want something new. or they see the value on, having 205 units on premise. It kind of gives them another demographic besides the traveling public to tee into. So I short and sweet, I have not had anybody in mind. And then price point. So, our price point on 1 bedrooms is about 1,600, and then we're upwards of like 2,800 on 2 bedrooms, which is typical to kind of covering the expense of developing these properties. Works with our pro formas, and it's also been well received, as you can tell with our waiting lists with the community, that the demographics that we're going after.
Yeah, and what's the square footage of a 1 versus 2 bedroom?
So 1 bedrooms are usually around 750 to 900 square feet. 2 bedrooms are around 1,100 to like 1,300 square feet.
Okay. And is there a place on this concept plan where you envision the retail and restaurant to go? Would they have their own signage, at the entry point of the complex?
Yeah, so we would imagine, we kind of look at this as our main road entrance. So they would maybe be corner suites here and here, right? That also gives a good demarcation of parking, right?
Yeah.
We'll still have to play with that. We're going to look at more of it in our architectural outlook when we move forward through, traction here with the boards and design procurement. But we'll make sure that they have good visibility and serve the purpose of what maybe even some discussions are with users that may want to move in there.
Okay. I'm good now.
Chris? Okay. Kurt?
Thank you. Question on the elevated height of the building. I assume it'll have elevators in it, and the doghouse on the top. Is that included in the maximum height?
So our elevators will only go up to the 4th story. They won't be elevators that go to the rooftop. We serve the rooftop access by just a man hatch for our maintenance folks. It actually comes with these new per code. They're like shipsman ladders, but not. They're like alternating tread. They're like a mixture of a ladder and a stair. We conceal those in like a janitor's closet. And it's just a very low profile man hatch that pops open.
Okay. All right. Okay, great. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
And a couple other questions here. On the proposed sidewalk path, that goes up to the middle school, has the town's right of way and the available space area for that been worked out so that you can fit that in?
I believe that was part of the feasibility study. And Anna, do you know the answer to that?
I was nodding my head. Yeah, it has been researched. We had a engineering firm working on it, and it was submitted for grant funding, which we received for design only through CDTC. And right-of-way acquisition was part of that question. Would utility poles need to be moved? Would trees have to be removed or planted? Bless you, Chris. And so that was researched. There is some amount of town right away. I think there would be a small amount required as well. And we've discussed the project with the school district numerous times. They're well aware of it. It would be technically on their property for a portion, towards the end of the full scope of the proposed path. So that would be in coordination with them.
What about when it crosses the road, those homeowners, that's right away where it would be installed? It crosses from
I don't think it would require acquisition from private landowners. I think it was primarily school district and maybe the church on the end corner.
Mm-hmm.
That's going off my head. I think the last time we were talking about that was maybe fall 2021.
All right, thank you. One other question. On the southern part of the property line, near where that dirt road is, right across from the DPW office, years ago there was some fill that was brought in there. Is there a risk of that fill that was brought in there being contaminated?
I'm not aware of any fill being brought into our property. I know that there's a lot of soil removal and disposal operations across from the garage, which I think is more so up in this area.
Yeah.
But I'm not aware, sir, of anything within our property boundary.
Okay, it may be, like you say, on the southernmost part on the other side of that road and maybe not on your property.
Yes. Yeah. So no, I'm not aware of that, but if there was anything that would need to, be looked at, we're very good at that as well. If we ran into anything environmentally, that's what this would be. This is one of the few projects that we're looking at that isn't contaminated. So
Okay.
We can handle contamination well.
Okay, I was on the library board a long time ago, and we were offered, when we were looking for space for a new library, we were offered free land just south of, that dirt road area. And that question and concern came up so that we turned down the land at that time.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm not aware, but it will definitely be surfaced when we go through the further, seeker process of the property.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That was my last question.
Yes,
Thanks,
sir.
Kurt. Yeah, I've actually heard that. I didn't know if it was an urban legend or a real thing, but I've heard that about that lot as well.
Yeah, that again, it was downstate gentleman came up and made propositions to give people fill for land that they wanted. I was involved in one of them, another piece of property that my family owned that we thanked them but sent them away. But that property, again, farther north of that, I think the gentleman did take advantage of that. And I think there was some things of concern later on. So we turned it down with the library.
Interesting. Kurt, you're good?
I'm gone. Thank you.
Yep. John Conway?
Got just a couple of questions. In terms of Starbuck Island, which I think is a pretty similar design to this proposed project, right? You said it's 4 stories in height also?
Yes, sir.
And do you happen to know what the density of that is in terms of units per acre?
Starbuck was, I believe, 23 units per acre.
Wow.
Which ultimately was driven as well by some infrastructure cost. Different than this project, I would say the 5 units that is the delta between East Greenbush and Starbuck was mainly driven because we had to pump 40,000 gallons of oil out of the groundwater table. So it was quite an overhaul as well there.
Okay, interesting. And just for my curiosity, I just have to ask, and this is more, I think, a question for the town than perhaps the developers, but in terms of the new zoning law that's being written, is that going to have any impact on the development of the project? It's still going to be B1 and that sort of thing?
Well,
Yeah,
this is
because
Go ahead, Anna.
I was gonna say, because we received the application under the existing zoning, that will be what the application is reviewed under. So the existing B1 conditions, which do require, as Matt was discussing, the 2 variances from the ZBA.
All right, good. Thank you. That's all I have right now. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Bob, you have?
Yes, I have also concerns about the traffic on Gilligan Road. Currently, in the mornings around 7:45, it takes me about 3 traffic lights to get through that intersection at 9 and 20, due to the amount of buses, the amount of people dropping off their kids and returning back. The same thing goes over at the other end at Hayes and Gilligan and Crisscross, or Hayes, Gilligan and Crisscrossing. There's an abundance of traffic getting to the school. With the 205 units, especially with the ball field being active and the softball field in school. I don't know the feasibility about all this traffic going onto it without some type of widening of the road, double lanes coming out and coming in. It's, it's quite abundance of traffic coming in.
Yeah, and we'll definitely look into that and depending on the volumes, like McFarland Johnson will do a comprehensive traffic study. And a lot of those studies will, they'll provide some type of outlook for what we could do for mitigation. and maybe even some things that would correct existing issues there. So we'll do a comprehensive overview of the entire area when it comes to both our project and maybe, broken things that exist there now.
Because once that ballpark starts going, April, May, June, and July, that's jam-packed every day. There's traffic starting from 3:30 all the way to the 8 o'clock at night.
Understood.
Yeah, and just for reference, not only does the Little League parking lot get packed, but people park all along Gilligan Road, and then they park throughout Turner Ave across the street.
And park on that, right across the street from the DPW, they park there also.
Okay.
And back when I moved in the area back in 01, there was a lot of bituminous material being dumped in that area. So I don't know what the impact contaminants in that would be. Also, the dirt road proposed as emergency exit, is that completely on the proposed property?
So right now that dirt road isn't being proposed as emergency exit. It was just commented on to be looked at for one. That dirt road is just a figure being shown in the base mapping as an existing condition. The only thing we were proposing to do back there, which was in the connectivity outlook for the trails, would be stubbing out a connection there for the future development of town center.
Okay.
Which I believe is one of their areas within their later phases, maybe phase 3.
Because I believe that dirt road is a Whitbeck property.
Yes, it is. Yep, which is shown right here.
Yes, that's correct. And with the elevation difference, I know we're proposing the entrance to the complex. There's also a stream that comes through there that floods quite drastically.
Where is it? Let me just pull it up here. So there's the sewer easement that comes through here, the sewer easement, and then there's the existing pond that's there.
Right. It's just between the entrance we have from Hannaford and the entrance to the complex. There's a stream that comes through there.
This direction, sir?
Goes from east to west.
It's between the proposed driveway and the existing turn.
Okay.
The existing right turn only.
And you were already tracking that feature, Adam? It was something that we
Well,
were going to have to design.
Yeah, we're going to have to look into that. But I think that's the the source that essentially feeds the wetland today.
Yes.
Okay.
Would you agree with that, Robert? Is that what you're?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So yes,
And
we would have to look into whether we're culverting under our 2 proposed driveways here. If we reconfigure those driveways, how that works out. But trying to channelize that creek to actually have that water be more contained in the proposed wetland area.
Right.
As Chuck mentioned, try to more formalize that wetland area to serve both as a stormwater area as well as a wetland area for vegetation and wildlife. So
yeah, currently on heavy rain days, that floods the street, goes right over top of it.
Okay.
It's underneath it, can't handle it.
So we would look at Adam, the culverts there are obviously no good anyhow. That would be taken care of within your hydrocats.
yeah, we would look at the hydraulic modeling for the contributing area to that stream. Make sure we're accounting for it.
What about the cuts and fills? How much cut, how much fill do you need?
So this was all based off existing base mapping, right, Adam? County
Yeah,
base.
I don't know if we have that number right now, Robert. We're still in the preliminary stage here.
But what we did do is Anna does have a video that she could probably surface out to the board. That's listed here, but it's can't play it over Zoom. But it does kind of give an idea of the topography. It's almost, the property would almost be terraced in a way, where it consistently terraces down almost in 3 shelves almost. And the video does a really good representation of that because it was 3D modeled off of the base mapping, which are contours that are plus or minus 2 feet, right, Adam? Ballpark.
Yeah, I wouldn't say plus or minus 2 feet, but yeah, they're not as accurate as your typical surveyor would be. I'd say plus or minus probably a foot, but yeah.
Okay. And that we would be getting more into that, Robert, in the future phases of the design.
Okay. Yeah, I just wondered what the elevation differences through that property.
Yeah, to answer your question though, to what Chuck was saying, we would try to work with the existing topography to minimize the amount of cut and fill and try to work with the existing lay of the land, obviously keeping in mind drainage and making sure that that wetland can contain the flows going to it.
And retention ponds for the paved areas.
So a lot of the projects we've been doing, I know McFarland Johnson will be diving into proper areas for some of those. With sites like this, we'd probably be looking at, dependent on infiltration rates, some type of closed chamber system or something, some type of overflow outlets, but it provides more aesthetic look to the property so that things are contained below grade.
Yeah, we haven't worked through that in full transparency, but our goal here would be to try to do some bioretention areas, as Chuck was mentioning, doing some infiltration tests, try to get some nice landscape vegetated areas that would serve for water quality to clean the water, and then those would overflow ideally into the wetland area, and that would be potentially serving as some of our detention. Because as Chuck mentioned today, that's not a defined pond. It doesn't have standing water at all times. So still all calculations and modeling to be worked out, but that's our goal on this one.
So basically that pond would be a man-made pond.
I would say we're going to use the existing topography that's there and make sure we're providing adequate water to it, but taking credit for it holding water and then having a man-made structure controlling the outlet of it.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
2 more questions. I think there's a question in the chat and it reminded me, I think we brought this up at PRT, but you don't plan to apply for a pilot, or has that changed?
Right now, there is no intention to apply for a pilot now.
Have you received one on other projects you developed?
Yeah, every single one of our mixed-use developments has received a pilot, mainly because when we look at the demographics we're serving, we do 1 and 2 bedroom apartments through surveys. I think out of 700 units, we may have 11 children living at our properties. So, when we've worked with Metroplex, Green Island IDA, City of Troy's IDA, they look at it as a 0 impact to the school district. And most of the properties we've developed have sat underutilized for a long period of time. So there's still a positive outlook on tax benefit or tax revenues for the districts, but there's ultimately no impact to the schools and some of those other special districts, aside from just a slower pace of revenue over time. But right now we haven't dove into that, and we don't really have anything to report on that outlook.
Yeah. So your pilot structure just to have a reduction in school taxes, or also town and county taxes?
No, all pilots, they're sales tax, or we do sales tax exemption, mortgage recording fee exemption, and typically all pilot programs would be attached to local, county, and school. Usually how they work, they're based off the assessed value to all 3 of those different outlooks.
And then the other thing, I do anticipate you're going to get a lot of feedback from Turn and a Half to the south. That's one of the only subdivisions in town that not all the houses have sanitary sewer. They have public water, but not public sewer. So I'm guessing when you have a public hearing, you're going to encounter that. So.
And what would we encounter? I'm just trying to understand that more.
public feedback asking about what you're doing for the sewer infrastructure along Gilligan Road, I would guess.
Okay. Yeah, I know Adam, I believe, has been in touch. Who is the gentleman that we had touched base with, Adam? That was had knowledge with the town.
Ed Hernandez, I believe.
Is that your
Yes,
guys' TDE?
Ed Hernandez is with Adirondack Mountain Engineering, and he's done a number of surveys and reports on the existing sewer infrastructure as well as water, but mostly sewer.
We haven't deep
within
dove
our-
into it.
Yeah,
we
in our
haven't-
PRT conversation, Dan Fiacco, Commissioner of Public Works, did raise possible concern with the capacity with existing pump stations. So that's something that will need to be addressed. And
Yeah, we'll take a look at it.
Yeah, so my comment was not as much capacity. There's like 50 houses up there. So you're probably getting a feedback of people asking, you know, how do their houses get connected to the sanitary sewer? Right. So because you're definitely gonna have a public hearing with the zoning board, and you'll have one for your site plan too.
Yeah,
I understand there's some houses up on Tiernan Lane that don't have public sewer either. So
Yeah, that's what I'm talking. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
yeah, and we're always very transparent during these processes. You know, either a project works or it doesn't work. That's why we always try to come out of the gate with some type of community benefit to show our level of transparency with the boards and whatnot. And we'll continue to be that way. If it's something that the project can afford to provide the community, we will. If it's something that the project can't afford to provide, we'll continue to keep you folks in the loop and hear what people have to say. So
Sure. Appreciate that.
This is Matt. I just want to chime in. This is Joe Slater, the planning board attorney. So from a legal procedural standpoint, Matt and Anna touched on the 2 area variances that were required. So the planning board would make a referral to the ZBA for those. And it is a major site plan, which under the town code needs to be approved by the town board. So the planning board would make a recommendation on the site plan to the planning board, but ultimately the town board. So ultimately it's the town board that's going to make the determination whether this is approved, and they will be the lead agency under SECRA as well.
understood.
So we do have those motions tonight. If, you know, I'll just go through and see if people are, you know, want to move forward with making those, or if we want to wait. You know, this is a fairly large project and it is the first presentation, but Ralph, would you prefer to wait, or do you want to refer these to the different boards? You're on mute, Ralph.
What's our options again? Sorry.
We could, you know, this is just the first presentation, so we could wait, you know, mull over what we've seen here tonight and have a, you know, follow-up presentation from this group, you know, knowing that it is a fairly large project as they're diving into design, or vote to refer this to the zoning board for the 2 variances and the town board for seeker.
I probably think we should have one more look at it before we turn it over.
I was kind of leaning that way myself, but I just want to get a few filled out. So then we'll go to Don. You want to wait?
I'm sorry, I apologize. I didn't understand what Ralph said. There was quite a bit of an echo.
He said he thinks he would prefer to wait another meeting or another, you know, wait a little while, not vote tonight.
Thank you.
Kurt, since you're talking, what's your opinion?
Ditto on that. I would like to wait, like to take a look at it. I want to drive back out there and walk it a little bit.
Don? You're on mute, Don.
You hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, I'd rather wait.
Okay. John?
Yeah, I suppose, yeah, I was thinking maybe that we could refer the secret matter to the board, but I suppose if we're going to wait on the other thing, we should probably wait on them both. So I think that's where I'd be.
All right. Chris?
I guess I'm indifferent on waiting. I'll
Okay.
follow
And
the
then
rest of
Bob?
the boards.
Oh, sorry. Bob?
Yes, I'd like to wait also, and also like some more information about the traffic study.
Okay. All right, so we will, we very much appreciate your presentation. Obviously, you guys have put a lot of time and effort into this. As some board members have indicated, you guys have certainly put your best foot forward in what you did present here. So Ann will be in touch, and we'll get something set up to either have you, we'll probably have you come to another meeting, and then we'll refer these to the zoning board and the town board.
Sounds great. Yeah, and where our partners, investment partners are is, we wanted to give this initial presentation. We figured that there would be some Q&A and maybe a second meeting. But through the money we've invested already and trying to look into a deeper dive, obviously the project isn't doable without the variances, right? So, when we look at kind of what we would do before deeper diving into all the technical engineering without the zoning variances, the project isn't really a project, right? So, for leaving this meeting and going to the next meeting, we would ask the board to kind of understand that from our perspective. We would love to present in front of the ZBA just so that we can see what their feelings are as well, understanding that there is a lot of work to be done here, and there's a large investment to be had on our end as well.
So in the interest, why don't we meet you halfway, and we do meet twice a month, and why don't we get you on the calendar for February 8th to come back here? Does that work?
That sounds great, Matt.
Okay. All right.
Quick question, Matt. Is there any technical information that you're looking for from our end between now and the February 8th meeting, or do you guys just need to get a deeper dive on your end looking into the information we provided?
Board members tend to go out and check sites out. I think one had mentioned that. So I think, maybe through that exercise, you might get some questions emailed to you through Anna.
Okay.
Certainly, it's only been the past hour and 18 minutes that 6 of these folks have seen this for the first time, right? So
yeah,
I imagine some things will shake out in the next few days or next couple weeks.
Sounds great.
Perfect. Just let us know if there's anything we need to prepare for February. So
I had one question. There was something mentioned about you had a possible video or flyby of the site. Is that something that you could resend us, or does Anna have that?
I'll resend it to Anna, and then Anna, you're good with distribution to the board?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that'd be helpful.
I'll send those over tomorrow.
You got it.
Great. All right. Well, thank you guys very much. Again, we'll see you in a few weeks.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for the board's time. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Next, we'll move on to 2302 Regeneron, Building 85, 81 Columbia Turnpike for a site plan modification.
Are you guys able to hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, Steve, need me to present that
Yeah, if you don't
screen
mind,
share?
Ann,
Okay. Yep.
I think we just had that site plan for Regeneron. Is that correct? I know I've got 2 projects on.
Yes, just looking for
Yeah,
the screen
so go
share.
ahead with the Regeneron first.
So in reality, guys, on Building 85 on main campus, the biggest building that Regeneron has, it's the first one you would see if you come by off of Red Mill Road. First building you'd see. It's the main building that's been on campus forever. So in reality, the building's probably 100,000 square foot building, and what they're looking to do is to try to expand their cafeteria area and their prep area for Mazzone's a little bit. So in the darker brown shade that you see there, they're looking to construct a 12-foot by 102-foot, what they're calling a cafe addition. So relatively small as far as the rest of their campus, and the size of that building is. So facade, everything's going to match. They're just looking to bump everything out about 12 feet. Not really anything in the way for what they're trying to do as far as utilities, etc. So again, it's about a 1,200 square foot addition. It does not need new water, doesn't need new sewer. They'll make all their connections internal, and the facade they have, which is a lot of glass and a little bit of stone, they're just gonna push that all out 12 feet. So this is an angle of the building nobody would see from the main road anyhow. It's sort of tucked off. It's probably about 400 feet off of Discovery Drive and, you know, shielded by trees and vegetation in the parking lot. And it's a single story addition that they're just looking to bump out the cafe area.
What about the roofing?
What's that?
The roof of it?
It's probably just going to be I'm thinking that's just going to be a shingle roof. I mean, they've got flat roofs, and the building it's extending onto, I think, maybe 2 stories. So I'm guessing they just may put a slight pitched roof on this just to get the rainwater off the top of it.
Steve, if I could ask a question?
Certainly.
Can you try to give us just some sort of orientation here as to where the roads are?
I can, and let me just let me see, guys, if I can. I know I always start off, and hopefully you guys can see the map I have. And I was planning on presenting this tonight in person at the meeting, but certainly we're not there. But so on the top of this map, and I'm going this direction here, this is that same Serpentine Road that connects Red Mill Road, which is on the right side of this map, to Columbia Turnpike on the left side of the map. This is a large building. Again, if you come off of Red Mill Road, it's the first building that you're going to see.
Okay.
And we're looking at this small addition right over on this area over here.
All right, great.
So that'd be, as you see on that map, it's a 12-foot by 102-foot addition.
Okay, and you're extending it basically out to an existing sidewalk, is that it?
There's probably about a 30-foot, if you can see this green area. You see this green area here? There's about a 30-foot green space there, but there's an existing sidewalk right along the edge, John, so you're correct with that. But the sidewalk you see in this map is about 30 feet away from the building. There's one that's just a little bit tighter, so this aerial isn't quite updated, but there's a small sidewalk there closer to that building, right at the edge of the existing 12-foot addition. And really, they're trying to keep that intact and just build right up against that.
Okay, good, thank you.
You're welcome.
Let me just roll through the board members to get some comment. Ralph? You're on mute, Ralph, if you're talking.
I'm fine with it, Matt.
Okay. Don? Don, you're on mute.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
You hear me?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. Now, is there a cafe already there? And you said extend the cafe?
That is correct, Don. They're extending a little cafeteria area that Mazzone's uses because they do other catering on campus.
So like going to be seating, or are they going to have like vending machines, or what's going to be there?
Primarily food prep is what it is. I think they're trying to put some pizza ovens and things in there like that. So it's not a little bit of seating, but also a small prep area.
So like you say, there's already a cafe there though, right? They're just going to bring it out.
That is correct. Yep.
Oh, okay. That was my question.
All right. Thank you.
Chris?
Just to clarify, the extension is all indoors, correct? There's no like additional outdoor seating that's also being added.
That is correct. There's no alteration to the outside other than the building projecting out 12 feet.
Okay, I'm good.
All right. Kurt?
No questions.
John?
Good, thanks.
All right. Bob?
No questions. Thank you.
Okay. This is a minor site plan, which it sounds like there's not really any significant opposition to this. It is, exactly like it sounds like it is minor. For that, I'm gonna make a motion for conditional approval for Regeneron 81 Discovery Drive minor site plan. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Or Chris got it. Unless someone was on
Roll
mute.
call. Roll call as follows. Chairman Maston,
Yes.
Mr. Viola,
Yes.
Mr. Bergman,
Yes.
Ms. Horn,
Yes.
Mr. Panton,
Yes.
Mr. Conway,
Yes.
Mr. Yuha.
Yes.
Motion carried by 7-0 vote.
All right. Next, we'll
Thank-
move on to 2303 Breezy Meadows 5 Tyler Drive lot line adjustment.
Ann, are you able? Oh, thank you. So in essence, guys, ladies and gentlemen, I should say, on Tyler Drive, that existing home there is my house. That's identified as lot 31, and we've lived there about 20 years. We've got about a 3/4 acre parcel of land. We're looking to make that a little bit larger. So the gray shaded area you see on that map is about 0.6 acres of land that we're looking to get conveyed from the backyard neighbor, which is Breezy Meadows Farms. So in essence, Breezy Meadows Farms has about a 52.7 acre parcel of land, and it fronts on Waters Road. And so we would take 0.6 acres off of that. So they'd end up with, and if you see on the bottom right side of that, the remaining area is noted as 52.1 acres. And the lot where my wife and I own would go from, let's see, it would go from 0.888 acres, 0.88 up to 1.5. So again, roughly 0.62 acres of land would be added onto that. Nothing affecting frontages or any of that on either parcel. It's only making the parcel bigger than what's existing and not affecting any frontages. And the one note we have on there, so when this project was approved, when Huntswood was approved with this phase, there was a 20-foot existing utility easement coming off the end of Tyler Drive. And that's being, so that's called existing 20-foot wide utility easement granted to the town of East Greenbush. That's been there for 20 years. We're basically just extending that along the width of this line, which is 88 feet. So where the note on the bottom left says proposed 20-foot wide utility easement granted to the town of East Greenbush, we're just extending that utility easement from where it exists today to come out the extra 88 feet. So aside from that, that's what the project consists of.
And I think this has been reviewed. This meets all zoning requirements. Pretty insignificant addition of land, right?
Correct. Just a lot line adjustment.
Okay. Roll through the board members. Ralph, any comments, concerns?
I really think we should have a second look at this and bring in our own resident engineer to review these details.
I could probably review that, Ralph. Thank you.
I'm fine with it.
Is that a conflict of interest?
Don?
I'm okay with it.
All right. Chris?
So Steve, is there also part of Brian's property that's going to be absorbed? I'm a little confused where that is.
Breezy Meadows Farms is Brian. So that's
okay.
what it is. So it's coming off the
Gotcha.
52. It's coming off the 52 acres that is on Waters Road. So nothing's being absorbed. It's just being 0.6 acres is being taken off of his parcel and put onto mine.
Okay. So he's letting you use your fire pit on his property right now then, huh?
Yeah. I pay 40 grand a year in rent as a fire pit.
I'm also just curious, isn't it Tyler Court? Are you changing it to Tyler Drive?
You know what? From day one, Chris, dating back 15 years, there's sort of been this little bit of confusion whether it was Tyler Court or Tyler Drive. So I'd probably have to call up 911 and find out what they respond to.
Okay, just curious. So it's supposed to be Tyler Drive.
I do believe that's accurate, yes.
Interesting. All right. I'm
We
good,
we
thank
had
you.
it as conflicting from the plat to the application, and so I went off the tax map, and that was the change.
And was it Tyler Drive, Anna?
That's what's on the tax map. So
I agree.
we were confused too, Chris.
Does Tyler?
Yeah.
Just Tyler.
All right, thanks.
Kurt,
All good. No comments.
John Conway,
I'm good.
Bob Yuha.
All good, thank you.
All right. With that, I'll make a motion for conditional approval of lot line adjustment for 5 Tyler Drive. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Viola.
Roll call as follows. Chairman Maston,
Yes.
Mr. Viola,
Yes.
Mr. Bergman,
Yes.
Ms. Horn,
Yes.
Mr. Panton,
Yes.
Mr. Conway,
Yes.
Mr. Yuha.
Yes.
Motion carried by 7-0 vote.
All right. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you very much.
Next, we don't have any new ZBA reports. We do have 2 new referrals. First one, ZBA Appeal 2023-01 Verizon Wireless. This is for a cell tower or some kind of structure for cell tower up near Hampton Inn on Route 4. This is for a special use permit. A little confusing. The planning board takes on special use permits except for cases like this for cell towers, which was not changed. So the ZBA still handles special use permits related to cell towers. So would anyone like to take that?
I'll give it a try.
All right, Mr. Conlon, good deal. Then we have ZBA Appeal 2023-02 Barner 9 Eileen Drive for an area variance for a garage attached to a shed. Variance is for a side setback. Any takers? No one?
I'll take it.
All right, sure you. I was 2 seconds away from taking it too.
Well, if you really want it.
No, I don't. All right, then we have review and approval of meeting minutes. Allison, some of your finest work. Very well done. I think, can everyone vote or no?
No.
Everyone but Chris, and there was a minor correction by John.
All right. Any other comments or questions? With that, I will make a motion to approve the January 11, 2023 meeting minutes with the adjustment recommended by Mr. Conlon. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Conlon.
Roll call as follows. Chairman Maston,
Yes.
Mr. Viola,
Yes.
Mr. Bergman,
Yes.
Ms. Horn,
Mm,
Mr. Panton,
Yes.
Mr. Conway,
Yes.
Mr. Yuha.
Yes.
Motion carried by 6-0 vote.
Okay. And not on the agenda, but just a reminder, February 8th, we will be, I guess, reconvening the public hearing for Mountain View Ave and that 4-lot subdivision. So there was a lot of feedback at the meeting, so certainly be prepared. We're going to reopen that discussion. And Anna has, yep.
This was a reminder for you and I on Monday at we had our zoning update.
Yeah,
meeting.
so this specific section here, recommended design practices, is something that the group that's working to update the zoning law recommended the planning board take a look at the recommended design practices. So I would like to distribute this to the board members, get any feedback. If you think it works, you'd like to see change, any feedback would be welcome. So Can we just email that section out to folks?
Yeah, I can take a grab out of it. It's just one page as it is.
Okay. So
And
people would
the
take-
next meeting, oh, sorry, the next zoning update committee meeting is February 6th at 6:30 p.m.
Yes. Plugging along on the zoning update. So if you're interested, February 6th will be in town hall, working towards that update. Anything else? Board
One
members?
last just plug or reminder, since we're virtual, you're not able to just pass your vouchers down to Allison at the end of the meeting. So if you want to email them a scan or drop them off at the office or put them in the green mailbox outside town hall, there's a pay period before the next planning board meeting. So friendly reminder.
Can they be digitally signed on like Adobe? You know?
Yeah. Go right ahead.
Just a quick question.
Whopper, Junior Dub.
I have removed them.
Just a quick question about the 4-lot subdivision, that Mountain View Road or the little road there. Did we ever find out who owns it? So I know the gentleman at the end said he owned it.
The roadway?
Yes.
Yeah, that we'll definitely address that in the public hearing. The town is completely certain that it's a town-owned road.
Okay.
Yep.
Just wanted to make sure.
Yep.
Yeah, that was researched pretty soon after that meeting.
Yeah.
I don't see a copy of the voucher in the folder. Is that something you could shoot around to us, Allison?
If it's not on the Google Drive, yeah, I can email it tomorrow.
Thank you.
Okay. With that, so thank you to everyone for accommodating the virtual meeting. Certainly different, but we'll see everyone in person in a few weeks. So I'll make a motion to close the meeting. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Think that. Is anyone against? All right. Everyone have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks, everybody.
Aye.